This is the Political Matrix News. We're doing this on Tuesday, the 14th of January. It is 2025. It seems like we haven't done one all year. I don't know why. Well, we did one last week. This comes at a really, I think, monumental time. And I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, but in 6 days, less than 6 days, Donald Trump will be the 47th president of the United States.
45th and 47th.
Okay, that adds up, and that makes 92. So, the 47th president of the United States. And concurrently, Matt Gaetz is out of politics. I can think of no better outcome. This answers my prayers. Matt Gaetz, soon to be forgotten. He's on a network that not many people watch and will continue to probably make an ass out of himself. One could hope. I also fondly and fervently hope that when he announces that he wants to run for governor in about a year, that we will laugh our ass off and take it very seriously and make sure that doesn't happen either.
Exactly.
Because of politics, he can't be on a show while he's a candidate. So he may have a 2-year contract with these people, but all it's going to take is another opponent in the governor's race to say, oh, no, you don't, unless your network wants to give me equal time. They'll say, well, we're cable, we're exempt. The FCC would find otherwise, and they will have to scrub Matt and pull Matt, pull him from their website. So that's a triple.
Ain't even the FCC. It's the FEC. That's going to be the big problem.
All right. Federal Election Commission, for those who don't know. Right. All right. So I'm just so delighted, excited, and thrilled by the confluence of those two major developments, things that we've talked about here ever since we did the very first show. And Scott, your feelings?
Oh, there are nothing but joy in my heart, as we get probably, I don't know, it's hard for me to decide whether his father or he are worse impact on Florida politics, but they both need to go. He's the most glaring, but his father's insidious because, he doesn't make as much of a splash, but he does. He's the one that really orchestrates all the bad behavior that that they're notorious for.
Allows it. In other words, if they were Democrats, their last name would be Biden. Okay, just go with that. The hot topic, no joke. The hot topic, of course, is the California fires. I've got to be honest. I have not watched the news today. I have been inundated with news for the last week over this since the first fire broke out on Tuesday the 7th. My brother lives in the San Fernando Valley. My niece and my nephew live in the San Fernando Valley. Literally, the niece lives in Tarzana. That is due north of the main fire that took out Pacific Palisades. They've assigned another name to it now. But all of these stars you see with their homes burned out, and there's a large number of them. She's literally on the other side of the mountain, and they abandoned their house on Friday or Saturday night, one or the other, and spent the night away thinking they would never see it again. They went back. It was there intact. They had stopped the fire coming down the hill.
That's great.
Let me tell you. Yeah, that's that definitely was a come to Jesus moment. They had evacuated their three little kids to my brother's house, the grandfather, and the other daughter went to the other niece's house. I mean, it's just, it was very confusing. And so they were spared. Most people in the San Fernando Valley spared. But on the other side of the hill, when they've got to close the 405. Now, for those who've never been to California, never lived in California, the 405 is almost the spine of the freeway system in Southern California in the Los Angeles area. It links the north to the city. It goes over the Sepulveda Pass. It is where the Getty Museum is located. It's on the west side of Westwood, UCLA campus. It goes down. That's what you take when you go to the airport. And the whole thing was shut down for the weekend. And
Right.
I think the thing that amazes me is that it took so long for the federal government to kick it in gear. I see fire trucks driving from Oregon, fire trucks driving from Utah. Fire trucks don't go very fast. Hint, 50 miles an hour. That's it, okay? They just don't go fast. The speedometer may go to 80, but the trucks don't. And you can't, I mean, they're going to take that 4,000 or 5,000 gallons of water out of the truck before they tootle on down the road. Water they got, for the most part, in California. And someone said, oh, it's terrible. All those illegal immigrants are in hotels and they're not putting the firefighters there. Wildland firefighters, the hotshot crews, well, and I'm talking about from years of covering wildfires and forest fires and all this other stuff, they're generally really happy sleeping on a football field or a soccer field or a field of fresh cut grass. They're so exhausted, they roll out a sleeping bag, take their boots and their helmet off, and just pass out. And they're there until they wake up. They bust their ass literally on the side of those mountains. They bring in shower trailers and food trailers and porta potties by the dozens, and they're good to go. You feed them up and shoot them on back out. Oh, Scott, you maintain that these fires have turned part of Southern California to ash, and that it also has changed Southern California from blue to red. Would you like to expand on that?
Well, I mean, honestly, it's just the number of people who had been advocating for Democrat causes for a very long time that are getting out and just barbecuing, for lack of a better word. Gavin Newsom and the mayor of Los Angeles,
Mayor
Bass or Bass or whatever her name is.
Yep.
And every time we turn around, there's a little bit more. That someone will make an allegation, they'll deny it, and then that person that made the allegation will bring out the proof. For example, the water that Gavin Newsom has spent a lot of energy the last couple of days talking about how much they've invested in California firefighting. And they may have invested in some California firefighting, but it doesn't matter because the place is still on fire. And the reservoir that was literally supposed to be tasked was in the position to deal with what would have been the Palisades fire has been down for maintenance for 2 years.
Right.
It is completely empty. And you see video of it. This is what the place looks like. So Gavin Newsom can brag about all of these things. He can spin things the way he wants to. The people in California have actually been kind of mildly complaining about this for quite a long time. And this is the thing that they've been dreading. And frankly, it's the thing that Gavin Newsom should have been dreading. I believe that this thing could literally tip the entire state. I hate that this fire is happening at all. I just wish it would have happened last year, because I think if it would have happened last year, California would be red right now.
I mean, right now, I guess the newest fire is in Alto, and so it's up there in the northern part, just a little bit north of LA, to the northwest of LA, and that's the newest fire right now. That's sparked up today, and right now with all the high winds that they have, everybody wants to talk about climate change, and they all want to talk about how it's, this to blame or that to blame. I'm very ignorant as to how to handle the winds.
Nothing you could do about that.
How are they going to be able to stop it from spreading like that? When you look at the devastation that happened, one of my favorite shows is 2.5 Men. And so I've been watching 2.5 Men ever since it came on. And the whole idea that the entire facade of that show and everything else is non-existent is very sad.
Gone. And
they only did the
flyby. That's all they ever did there. They didn't base it. There was no external turning off Pacific Coast Highway. It's all gone. I was there November, and glad I was. And my girlfriend had never been to that part of Southern California. We drove the PCH from Santa Monica all the way out, cut through.
I always wanted to go there.
Yeah, well, you just got to see it to understand how incredibly steep the hills are. I mean, we see scenic highway in Pensacola. That's 90 feet, 100 feet above the the bay, and we're talking a mile in from the ocean. Stuff is 5,000 feet tall, 3,000 to 5,000. I mean, it's just incredible and steep. I mean, the valleys are like this, and they come down to, there's a creek down there and room for a 2-lane road. That's all. That's all.
Well, someone pointed out the other day that as bad as the narrative is right now, that what's really going to I think push California over the edge is all these wealthy people that have been bitching about climate change and Black Lives Matter and every woke cause you can imagine.
Right.
When they go back to try to build their homes, that's when the shit's really going to hit the fan.
Well, Gavin Newsom said he's going to get rid of all that the red tape to just let everybody build what they need to build to hurry it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said.
Bill Maher. Yeah, I'm sure he did say that. Bill Maher was telling the story about when he had to put in a new garage door in his house. Like, not something structural, not some windows or doors or a new air conditioning system. Just to put in a new garage door required 3 inspections.
Uh-huh.
I don't even know what you would inspect 3 times on a garage door.
And the entire idea of rebuilding and the way they're going to have to rebuild is going to be enormous. And I mean, I'm very glad to see that California is coming together. I'm also very shocked to see as few looters have been arrested as there are. I mean, I was expecting it to be in the hundreds, literally. I mean, because there's so much devastation, so lack of patrol out there because of how much devastation there is. I mean, I was expecting it to be much higher than what it is now. And,
well, it's one thing
come together.
It's one thing when you're looting in a storm area because you just got to sort through some wet stuff. But when you're sorting through a burn area,
it doesn't really get.
I mean, the stuff that you're trying to loot will burn you.
Yeah.
So I don't know how bad it is. I'm sure they'll have some looting problems, but the problem that they're having is, during a storm, there's you can walk around in your leisure, but during something like this, I mean, the air itself can compromise you. These people don't. And once the fire dies down a bit and people are walking around a little bit more, that's when the looting's going to start.
I think Mayor Bass is who's really in serious trouble politically as far as being recalled. I do think that she is really out to lunch. She has seemed to not apologize for any decision that she has ever made with the budget or with anything, and she has basically accepted zero blame as far as anything being not prepared at all with the hydrants not being water driven. Or water filled, and with the people not knowing how to use them or use them properly. And they even had the fire chief who did not exactly know how to use the fire hydrant.
A DEI hire.
Exactly,
the
DEI
top
hire.
3 are all DEI.
A lot of administrators don't know how to do all the small stuff. I get it. But you're a fire chief, you should know how to do every single damn thing that a person out there sticking their neck out is. And also, I mean, if you want to talk about finances, look at this, the pay that they're paying these people. The people in California and the Forest Service, they're only getting $18 an hour. That is it. The people in the LA Fire Department, they're only getting $25 an hour.
Yeah, 52,000. I don't know how they live on $52,000 a year
I don't know
in
how
Southern
they do
California. And by the way, you work so 25 an hour times you do 24-hour shifts. Okay.
Exactly.
Most fire stations are that way.
Right,
They
3 days a week.
They cut the fire department budget by many, many millions, 15, 20 million. They have more than 200 openings right now in the fire department. They shipped equipment, perfectly good equipment. They put on a ship and sent it to the Ukraine. Now Ukraine is sending firefighters, 20 or so firefighters from there back to LA to say thank you. The fact
that
what?
Sent it to Ukraine?
No, they sent equipment, trucks to the Ukraine.
For what?
We used to, I don't know, just to be nice. And then the Ukraine has flying people firemen to Los Angeles to fight the fires. Okay?
It's the cool thing to do, man. Everyone's sending all their stuff to Ukraine.
Yeah. What have you sent to Ukraine,
Are the
Greg?
guys bringing the equipment back with them?
No. Fire trucks are very robust. They can operate 24 hours, okay? Refuel them, put more water, let's go. The firefighters give out after about 12 to 14 hours.
I was watching last night on this show. They were shoveling dirt on the fire. That's how they were. I mean, and this guy, this commentator, this news guy, was like, "Look at them putting out the fire. They're stuffing the fire, and they put all this dirt on the fire. It was good for about 3 minutes. Then 20 minutes later, and it's all back."
Yeah.
Well, that is the problem with using dirt is while it does smother the fire, it also holds heat, so it's more prone to flare-ups.
Yeah, and the other thing is, we've all been through.
That's where the Ventura fire was.
Yeah, we've all been through hurricanes, and so the common denominator is we know hurricanes coming in. We know to board up the windows, tie everything down, throw the furniture in the pool, all that stuff, right? And here comes the storm, and it's building and building and building, and it gets closer and closer. And then where you have your roof rattling around and your house is shaking, okay, that's the very worst of it. That's the eye wall. And then it keeps going, and we're done. And it's over 8 to 10 hours is a slow storm. Would you agree?
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, the Santa Ana winds don't stop. My brother's house was shaking for hours. They have to turn the power off because the power lines are bouncing because when they zap up, and when they zap, they hit each other, they spark. Sparks fall to ground. Fires started. Winds are 70, 100 miles an hour. That's Cat 2. That's a good-sized Cat 2 hurricane, and it keeps up for hours. But it's done that in L.A. forever and ever and ever. Some years are worse than others. 2 years ago, this time, all of the reservoirs were full. The grass was green. They had huge rainstorms that rolled in one after the other after the other. Now, and this is the rainy season. And you realize Los Angeles officially is showing less than a quarter inch of rain since May.
Yeah, no rain since October. Exactly.
Right, and then none, but then that's it. So you can't get a whole lot more dry than that. The other continuing factors are, as you said, diverting water into the Sacramento River to keep the Sacramento River snail dart or whatever it's called, some little fish. It's about maybe that big. And
smelt.
That's the
smell, yeah.
Thank you. They have to stay in there's certain level of brack. It's exactly like the Apalachicola oysters that have to have a certain amount of fresh water, salt water to balance them out. So that water did not go to Los Angeles. It went into the river. Guess what they also don't allow is, what do they call them? Preventive burns? Is that it? No, controlled burns. Controlled burns to take out underbrush, undergrowth, and just the wind has to be this, the humidity's got to be that. You got to have a fire truck standing by. You're only going to burn a small area. 10, 20 acres at a time. Put that out. Wait for a while. Go burn another. They do it around in the woods around Pensacola, around Eglin Air Force Base. I'm sure they do it in Crooked Alachua County as well.
They do.
And that's where Greg Fink is, everybody.
Yes.
But they don't do that in Southern California. If you're a homeowner,
I know.
Now, Scott, let's just use your neighborhood, for instance. You may want a little more privacy. There would be trees between your house and your neighbor's house, okay? You're not allowed to go in there and clear out the brush because you're upsetting the ecosystem. You've got to have a permit. And people, we can't do that because it violates the permit. The California Coastal Commission, we may have one for Florida, but I've only been here 15 years and haven't heard of it. The California Coastal Commission got called a couple of years ago because Southern California Edison, I believe that's it, was going to install new power poles and new power lines, and they needed to clear their right-of-way, their easement. Okay, so they get out there, they're putting steel in the ground, they're putting new wires up, and some eco-babe goes up and says, oh my gosh, you have crushed some little plant that is only found on this mountain in Southern California. And she went to the Coastal Commission screaming, judge says you got to stop. Doesn't matter that you're doing electricity for hundreds of thousands of people to the benefit of hundreds of thousands of people. When you do that right away, guess what? It's a fire break. Okay, it is. The judge didn't care about that, doesn't care about power to the people, cares about some stupid freaking plant. Well, this is what you get, sports fans. You allow these things to the needs of a freaking little fish and the needs of a little freaking plant, which they could move anywhere else. A great story is, of course, the desert tortoises of California. The U.S. military has 2 huge operational areas out there. The National Training Center to Barstow, near Barstow, California. It's bigger than Eglin Air Force Base, okay? It's 40 miles this way, 30 miles that way. Take your tanks out there, go to war. And then they do. Desert tortoises are endangered. They put thousands of soldiers in the field. They were arm to arm, and they walked for miles across the desert. When they found a tortoise burrow, they would mark it, and they'd signal the tortoise cops to come over, dig out the tortoise. The soldiers are still moving. They dug up all the tortoises for hundreds of square miles. Now you're thinking they're delicious, right? No. They dedicated about a 6-acre site and moved all the tortoises in there very successfully. There are a lot of baby tortoises now, and they're going to expand it to a second area. They did the same thing at 29 Palms, the Marine Corps base, just to the northeast of Palm Springs. Same deal. Marines chugging through. The Marines, of course, use their own e-tools to dig out the tortoises and threw them in the back of a truck. They're fine. They've got a nice yard. So those are success stories of California ecology, because the Army was tired of getting fined every time they ran over a turtle. That's California, and people put up with that shit, okay?
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you. This is, I remember Steve Byrne, the comedian, gave me the line about they've changed California from blue to red in one weekend. I think he's absolutely right. And the three stooges running the LA fire rescue and so forth, all DEI hires, all women. I don't care who they sleep with, doesn't matter. Somebody made an issue out of that. But they said here is an absolute case against DEI. We have 3 people running this operation who don't know what they're doing. Who has a fire department with 200 vacancies? Nobody.
So, interestingly, Adam Carolla tells a story about when he was 18 and he doesn't have he had a bad GPA, like a 1.7 GPA, so he wasn't getting to college, and he goes and applies to take the firefighter exam, and they tell him, hey, we'll let you know. 2 years later, they finally notify him that it's his turn to take the exam. He goes in there and he's in front of some little black girl, and I'm sure I'm hopefully she became a firefighter, lived out her dream. But he asked her, so when did you sign up to take this test? And she said, Wednesday.
Yeah.
So, the reason that you have vacancies is because you are creating an oppressive environment for the people who are most likely to want to do the work. The bottom line is, women as a group don't like getting out in extremely hot environments and working, extremely challenging manual labor. I mean, as a group, they don't like doing it.
Right.
There are some that love doing it and are good at doing it. But by and large, overwhelmingly, they don't like it. And when those are the only ones that you are, I guess, paving the road for, and you're making things easy for, and everyone else is having an inordinate reason to, just amount of extra things that they've got to do, you are successfully going to discourage them, and you'll wind up with as many of the preferred candidate as the non-preferred candidate, but you still wind up with 200 vacancies.
Well, here's the other part of this entire situation is how, I keep seeing these people from the Small Business Development Center, or SBA, come out saying that people can try to get loans to rebuild.
Yeah.
And which I get, you know, I mean, you're not going to get your house back for free. But I mean, there are a lot of people here who do not have the means to do that, period. I mean, and right now the fundraising is not going through the roof either. I think American Red Cross has already raised $4.5 million so far. That's it.
Million of that came from Fox. $1 million of it came from Fox. I know that. They jumped on that, and there have been a couple others like that. I mean,
your average...
the weird part is people
almost
are like...
$150 billion.
Yeah.
Billions of dollars of damage.
This will be the biggest disaster in U.S. history. It's not over with yet. And they're going to try... They're going to F it up. We know they're going to F it up. You know, New Orleans, there are parts of New Orleans haven't been rebuilt. Last I checked, Katrina was 19 and a half years ago. All right. I mean, 19 and a half years ago, I still had mud on my boots from the lower Ninth Ward and decontaminated coming out of St. Bernard Parish. I'll never, ever forget that. They've got to decontaminate you coming out of a county just down of a parish just downriver from New Orleans. People had in Pacific Palisades were the houses probably go back to the 60s, and they might have been $35,000-$50,000 then, and now they're 2.5, 3, 4, 5 million with a minimum amount of work, including a new garage door. I'm going to assume that Bill Maher lost his house. Is that right, Scott?
I haven't heard that.
Caitlyn Jenner got her house. Comes to her house.
Who?
Yeah.
Caitlyn Jenner. I think they live in the same neighborhood as Bill Maher does.
Well, we know Kim Kardashian lost her house, and there's a long Mel Gibson, among others. Dick Van Dyke. Dick Van Dyke was out there at 99 years old, hitting him with a water hose. I mean, somebody had to come literally carry him out of there. And he's like, well, I kind of forgot I was 99 years old. I'm trying to do this. And people say, well, all we see is celebrities. Celebrities are just people who have a little more high-profile job. You know, when Greg Fink and Scott Miller crank it up and get real popular in a couple of years, I'll be able to say, hey, I knew him when. It's just one of those things.
But you see, you're kind of adjacent to the real thing that's going to drive this hatred of the left as we're going forward, and that's the fact that the wealthy and the celebrities are going to immediately get work crews into their houses and get all their stuff fixed.
Yep.
And just, you know, like you were saying, just like in New Orleans, the thing is, in New Orleans, you know, things are a lot more compartmentalized. Like, you know, like the Ninth Ward is like other side of the river, and you know, unless you intend on going there, you don't. Los Angeles ain't like that. Everything, even the poor sections of town, you know, are things that you can see from a long way away.
Yep.
And when all of the celebrity and rich people things are bright and shiny again, and they're just a big black street, that's the thing that's going to fuel the resentment.
Because they're going to drive right through that poor area to get to their part. And I mean, there's no way to, the envy issue and all the jealousy issues and all the regular human behavior issues that come with this are going to be huge. And I think, we're going to see one hell of a sociological experiment, one hell of a political experiment. And, and I thank God that we haven't lost as many people. 24 is a lot of people. But it's going to be a lot worse.
Well, they spent decades pitting the rich against the poor, class versus. So now they have set the table for their own destruction. Because right now, it's the wealthy are going to do what the wealthy do, and are going to be a signpost. And these are going to be people. The ones that are going to be the most objectionable are going to be the people who've just, preached for years about these woke issues and how evil the right is, and yet they're going to be in a brand new sparkling mansion and still not not be really affecting positive lives of anybody.
But you have to realize, FEMA right now.
House. What? Go ahead, Greg.
I said real quick, FEMA right now. Today is the last day for any of the FEMA people from Hurricane Helene or Hurricane Milton to have housing, and so they're kicking a lot of the people out of their trailers in North Carolina and Tennessee when it's sub-freezing weather.
Right.
And these are the same people who we have running for the federal side. So California, be careful of trusting the FEMA guys all that greatly at the moment, unless there's a huge change with Trump. But, look forward to maybe possibly 4 months from now, you're going to be looking around like, I got nothing.
Here's a prediction.
They have no trouble dumping you out.
Prediction. Florida apparently has already started running ads in Los Angeles. I'm not sure, radio, TV, or print, on, hey, move to Florida.
Move to Florida, baby.
We're going to see that. I mean, Sly Stallone, happy to say he's neighbors with Donald Trump. Happy to do that. I heard John Travolta had his place near Ocala for sale. That's one that's got a 6,000 foot runway. Yeah. And I see that traveling a distance, we're hundreds of miles apart here as we do this, and it doesn't make a difference if I'm doing a casting call or we're having a meeting. You can be all over the country, and people are doing that every day. And the proximity to studios, is all relative.
Exactly.
And you've got you just collected your insurance for a $6 million house and contents, so you got that check. And now I can sell that lot for $1 million. I got $7 million in hand. Where can I go to buy a $3 or $4 million place on a beach? Whoa.
Well,
yes.
According to this, like celebrity realtor that services that category of people, it's basically going by party. All right, they're sorting themselves red versus blue. The actors that lean red are going to Florida and Georgia, like in the Atlanta area, because there's a ton of film industry in Atlanta now.
Yep.
Thank you, Tyler. The others are going. The others are going up the left the coast. The whole East Coast, the Mid Atlantic, and up into New York.
Yeah.
So the red's getting redder and the blue's getting bluer.
Are they going to Oregon or Washington?
And Rick Scott, by the way, screwed Florida out of the film industry, dropping the tax credits for all the films. Screw the part that all these jobs are created and there's all this spending. By cutting the state's taxes, he cut the throat. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Let's see.
Universal is huge here.
Rick Scott cut the throat of the film industry. I thought it was a good prop to have. And it's a real knife too. Al. Al.
Very beautiful.
Yeah.
Up there.
But that was Rick Scott's job, and Ron DeSantis needs to get the heads up on that. Universal Studios. I'm in Orlando. I'm about 10 miles maybe from Universal Studios. They actually used to do television shows and do movies here. And that just went away as Universal expanded, more rides, a second theme park, that sort of thing. But production facilities are still available, and they're not that hard to build, and we don't have earthquakes. And so what if we lose a half a dozen days a year to hurricanes?
Exactly.
So what? Hey, we'll be back next week. No problem. No earthquakes, no volcanoes.
Still got to fix an insurance issue, though.
Well,
and that's one thing. It's so a national insurance issue. State Farm and Nationwide and all these national guys. I mean, they've got a problem in California and Florida. They got to get that fixed.
They don't have enough money. Understand this. They don't have enough money. And all these insurance companies running all these ads in these ball games, or they're going to regret that. They should put their ads as of 4 or 5 days ago, just because. All of they're going to need all that money to pay these people off, and we will see the benefits of that long term. And I feel terrible about what's happened out there. Was it entirely preventable? No, it was not. Has it been offered up that, in fact, there may have been some, everybody knows the Santa Ana winds are coming. If you're a firebug, it's easy to start a fire. All of these fires breaking out in a, not necessarily proximity, because it's, 20, 30 miles this way and 30 miles that way. And so there's a certain, hour of travel time. But the fact that they all broke out within a very short period of time, 24 hours or something, makes it very, very suspicious. And I would hope that the FBI, after they find out the idiot who flew this drone into the water scooper plane. When as soon as they find him, they're going to go to work and make sure that no one person was involved in starting each and every fire.
Well, they said brought back the three strike rule in California. They brought that back very quickly.
Too late.
A lot of these guys might be felons, and they probably are. Most likely.
They might be foreigners. Okay, they might be people wanting to do harm to the United States. The one guy they've arrested is, by the way, an illegal alien from Mexico who's been deported before. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you, man. We do the best we can.
You roll the dice and it keeps on ending up on sixes.
Yeah. So we will see. I tell you what, we're going to do one next week, and we'll do it the day after Donald Trump becomes the president of the United States, and we will hopefully by that point have an idea. We already discussed what his inaugural address should be. My fellow Americans, we're closing the southern border. We're going to sort of lock up the northern border and drill, baby, drill. We got to get to work now. That's it. Be the shortest inaugural address in history. So there's that.
He has a lot of work to do today. He's going to be doing over 100 executive orders that day.
They're already written, man. They just haven't been put on White House stationery yet. They're already written.
Real quick, did anybody see the Pete Hegseth trial today?
The trial, the confirmation hearing.
I'm sure it felt like a trial.
He felt like he was on the box.
He was.
He did a great job.
He
did a very good job.
I heard that Hannity was kind of raving about what a good job he did, and the Democrats, they took the low road. Oh well, when did you stop beating your wife, and how much did you have to drink before you slapped your girlfriend, and you crap like that, which is what you usually get from Democrats. And that's, by the way, Chuck Schumer saying, Chuck Schumer, we're going to work across the aisle. Yeah, give it up, dude, give it up.
I mean, it was so over the top of what really lost a lot of credibility very quickly.
Yeah.
I mean, because it was, almost jovial, like bantering at him.
Mm-hmm.
And he had zero credibility and wasn't any of it.
Yeah. Well, there's more coming.
It went really good.
We'll see what happens with the rest, and it promises to be very, very interesting. If he was the problematic, Marco. Nobody said Polo.
Rubio.
I know Rubio. I was waiting for one of you to say Polo, but Marco's hearing
Rubio's
coming.
The same thing. Rubio, Marco Polo, same thing.
Okay. Next time we're in the pool. Next time you're in the pool, just do that Rubio.
Well, that's what his kids do.
Oh, okay. Will Mrs. Rubio be the hottest wife of a Secretary of State ever? The answer is yes. Okay.
Yes.
She and Casey DeSantis, they were both cheerleaders in the NFL, for crying out loud.
That's right.
And so he gets, they vote on him and he's approved, and then he will not take the oath of office until next Monday, Tuesday, and that's when he has to resign. And okay, so I want to wrap this up because it's been a long day, and we need to get on with life.
Okay.
So who is Ron DeSantis? Let's take your bets right now. Who is DeSantis going to appoint? Let's say Wednesday,
Moody.
the 22nd. Who?
Ashley Moody, Attorney General of Florida.
Oh, I agree with that. I agree with that. Because the only other people that are positioned well for it are actually getting positioned for other things,
right?
Like running for governor. Okay, Jimmy Petronas.
Like Wilson Simpson.
Okay, well, he was already ag. Wasn't he an ag dude? Wasn't he the ag guy?
He is currently the ag commissioner.
Oh, okay.
Wilson Simpson is, yeah.
All right. So is it Petronas, who's the CFO, who's running in the 1st District to replace Matt Gaetz, whose name I really hope can go through a whole half hour and never say again. Didn't I say Matt Gaetz? Yeah, I did.
Something like that.
Is he going to win? With no connections, no connections to the 1st District. He's a Panama City boy. What?
We'll find out.
I mean, we'll find out. We'll find out on the 28th. Is he going to win? It's going to be an interesting race, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got a lot of money, but there's a couple of guys in there, and Greg Merck being one of them, that as soon as he started making some sort of motion, it had a
big effect,
palpable effect on on the voting. I mean, it just immediately brought a honk to the people who were doing the absentees.
I mean, the vote by mail was going right at or around like 200 or 300 people a day for 7 or 8 days until Merck dropped his mailer. Then just stopped. And the requests have stopped pretty much basically the whole idea was Buchanan was just going to get everybody to run away with the race, and everybody's just going to go with them, and they're just going to go like crazy unless somebody got somebody else to pay attention. And that's what Merck, I think, really brought to the table a lot. He's the only other one really doing any real advertising out there. He got somebody to pay a lot of attention. And his mailer that went out about Big Mark Energy, we'll show it up here on the screen here, probably after the segment here. But I mean, I think that really made a lot of people think about the race to realize that it's just not a one-trick pony. It's not just one guy in the race. And so, I mean, there's 10 guys in the race, and basically
8, 10, 12, I've lost track.
10 guys.
Okay,
and the voting stopped very abruptly.
Haven't 3 or 4 or 5 already bailed, pulled out, stopped what they're doing?
No, but they basically have stopped campaigning. I mean, nobody's done any direct mail except for Valentino, Merck, and Petronas. Those are the only ones that have done any direct mail. Even Dimmick, he's not raising. He doesn't have the support that he had before, with McCarthy and everything. So he doesn't have that kind of support. And basically, if you look at the turnout for the first district, Escambia County is right now 98% of the turnout. And that's for vote by mail requests.
Where Merck and Valentino are known.
Exactly, or Merck, where Merck and Valentino are at. Joel Rudman, who's the current state rep over there in Santa Rosa County, is the only other one who's actually putting stuff out there. He's putting signs out there, but he hasn't really got anything done whenever he was a state rep. He never really defeated anybody. Correct, District 3.
Okay,
state rep for Florida.
Well, I mean, but he just ran a campaign like 2-3 months ago.
Yeah, or he basically beat a nobody barely.
Okay,
and so it wasn't really a slobber knocker at all.
All right, so we're 2 weeks away from the congressional election in the 1st district. I live in Orlando. I've heard zero about the race to replace
Randy Fine.
Yeah, no. District 6.
What's Waltz?
Mike Waltz.
Yeah, Mike Waltz. Yeah. And so that race, it looks like to be Randy Fine is the only Republican really doing anything. There's 2 or 3 other Republicans running against him, but they are not advertising anything at all. And that's
heard nothing.
And that's actually your area.
Yeah, nothing.
I mean, you should hear something on the radio or TV or something.
No TV, no radio, none. So
they raise a lot of money.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind.
He also has Trump's endorsement.
All right, so a week from now, we will reflect on, congratulate Ashley Moody. If she's been nominated, if Marco resigns, I'm not sure what the mechanics of that are, and we will look forward to it then. On behalf of Greg Fink in Crooked Alachua County, that's Gainesville, the social revolutionary hub of Florida. Scott Miller, adjacent to the first settlement from Europe in the Western Hemisphere, in what is North America or the United States now. That would be Pensacola. Of course, we also know they landed first out at Pensacola Beach because they wanted to go to the Sand Shaker and get a what drink? What drink were they going to get? A bushwhacker, yes.
A bushwhacker.
Yeah, and then they came into Pensacola, and you know where they dropped anchor and did their first settlement, right? 2-3 blocks right behind Jerry's Drive-In on East Cervantes. Yeah, right there.
That's a great natural harbor.
I know,
great natural harbor.
They stopped there because of the fresh water flow. They needed fresh water, and they got up on that bluff. If you drive next time you're Jerry's, just drive straight down the street to the east side of the building, straight down. It pretty much dead ends in somebody's yard, overlooking the bay. That's where that's where the first actual settlement was. And then, of course, they were there for 2 weeks, and a Category 3 hurricane shows up and sinks half the damn fleet. we'll save that for another day. I'm Rob in Orlando. Thanks for joining us for the Political Matrix News. After all of this entertainment, we absolutely demand a share. We demand a like, and subscription would be really nice too, because we split the proceeds among us. Have a good one. Thanks for joining us.
Indeed.